This is awkward. You're expecting a bard, or at the very least a storyteller of merit. Instead, you get a thief. If it's any consolation, I am a damned good thief. Or I was. But you see, I've made a mistake. I've stolen something that needs tending. I have stolen something that without my intervention will surely die. I've stolen a story. My name is Vanda, and for the very first time in my life, I mean to tell the truth. The truth of the five. Don't expect flowery language or poignant metaphor. I am not some god's damned bard. But in a realm forgotten, you will remember them. You will remember the five. Well, hello everybody, and welcome in for this, our premiere episode of The Realms Remembered. We will start with getting to know our characters, we will start to getting to know the world. But before we do that, there's a reason why we're here, and that's to tell a tale, and there is a reason why we can do this. It is because of our sponsors, new and old. So I would like to first thank Roll20. This episode and campaign brought to you by the one and only Roll20. It is our virtual tabletop of choice. It is powered by your browser. You may go there, upload your own tokens, your own maps. You may remember your own realms, and you may do so by going to www.roll20.net. Also, make sure you check out Die Hard Dice. Type in coupon code THEGRIM for 15% off your next purchase. We thank all of our friends over at Die Hard Dice. And also, if you retweet the Going Live tweet over at Grimjack21502, the number of retweets we receive on our Going Live notification throughout this campaign will positively affect the PCs in-game. I will be keeping a tally of how many times the Going Live tweet is retweeted, and the more, the merrier for our friends, the PCs. And finally, we have our polls. If you look down and see all of the wonderful things that you can contribute to, you can provide advantage or plot armor for the party. You can get a Raspberry Beret, which is an item or a feat for an individual PC, or if you're feeling some good vibrations, you can get it for the entire party. But as we look around, and as you familiarize yourself with this lovely place that we have, let's get to our tale, shall we? We find ourselves along the Sword Coast, in a place called The Bend. The Bend is a small village along the Sword Coast, nearly halfway between Waterdeep to the north and Baldur's Gate to the south. Recently, 5 people were found in the surrounding area unconscious and without identification. They were taken to the House of Amelioration, a clinic housed within the main building of the Bend. Here, the house is tended by the Sisters of Captured Grace. They are an order devoted to mending the wounds of the body and the mind. But that is more than our heroes know, and that, right now, is all that you shall know. So as we look around and as we decide which parts of this story need the telling in a predetermined bit of devilry, I have picked our very own Summer to go first. And as the window is open in this clinic ward, the smells and sounds of the country blowing in, ruffling bed skirts, taking curtains for a ride. It blows across the bed, the human. And as we bring in this human, I would ask Summer, who will you be playing, my friend? And how is she lying in bed?
Hi, I am Summer, and I'm going to be playing Roberts, the human fighter. Still unconscious, right?
You're just coming to.
Yeah, she probably looks kind of a mess, but she always does. She is dressed all in black. She has gloves that I think she was wearing, but maybe not now. They're tucked like into her belt. And her hair is tangled and looks like it hasn't had a comb brush through it in weeks. But it's braided back out of her face. She is a restless sleeper, I think. Probably out of everyone who was brought in that's unconscious, she tosses and turns the most. She looks out of place. Like she doesn't belong in a bed, in a clinic, inside. Like she belongs somewhere else. Probably out on the sea.
And as you lie there getting your bearings, this anomaly in this almost all-white ward, the curtains and the bed sheets and the walls themselves, all a very prominent and clean white. You catch a whiff of the salt air and you know, without seeing, that the sea is near. And every once in a while, when the wind cuts or catches, you hear that crash of distant water. And as you feel yourself come alive a bit again, there is a weariness to you, but you're able to look around, and while you're taking all of this in, you see a nurse or a holy person coming toward you. Katie, describe your character for me, please.
You see a rather petite-looking woman, very thin, wafy looking a little bit, walking toward you. Her hair, the little bit that you can see, is so black it looks almost blue, but it's covered in a white wrap, like most of the other workers around here. And as she gets closer, she takes very small steps, just sort of floating through the area, looking to each of the beds, and she gets closer to you with very, very almost lavender blue eyes that look down at you.
Robert starts to sit up a little bit, and she feels exhausted. But she's confused about where she is. This isn't where she remembers being. And as you come over and she starts to prop herself up, she says, "I'm sorry, where am I?"
Oh, shh, don't hurt yourself. You need all the rest you can get. And
No, I'm
she's
fine.
closer to
And
you.
she starts sitting up even more.
Yeah, she's like getting closer to you and trying to keep you from getting up.
Push me down, bitch.
No, really, you should rest. You're in a safe place.
No, I'm really fine. Where am I?
You're in a place known as the Bend.
Okay. How did I get here?
You were found. Do you know your name?
Yes, my name's Roberts.
Well, Roberts, it's very nice to meet you. I'm Sister Chandra. Where did you come from?
How much do I remember about the last place that I was?
Roll me a
Great.
Constitution saving throw right here.
Okay.
As you're thinking, and as you're trying to sit up, a wave of exhaustion comes through you to the point where it almost forcibly closes your eyes, and you're able to fight it a bit, but your thoughts are muddled by this exhaustion. They're clouded. They're incoherent and broken. You remember the sea. You always remember the sea.
She kind of lays back a little bit. I'm actually not sure. I was on the water. I don't know how I got here.
Well, perhaps as time goes on, you'll remember a bit more. Can I get you anything? How do you feel?
I'm really tired. I'll be fine for now, I think.
All right. Well, if you do need anything, I won't be far at all. She like cups your hands, with a little squeeze.
She pulls back her hand.
Roll me another Constitution saving throw as this exchange is going on.
Sure. Oh.
Sister, you see as the eyes of the woman that has identified herself as Roberts begin to nod and bounce. The lids and lashes staying longer and longer together before they split again until finally they remain closed. But as you stick with her for a moment, we are going to jump over to a bed across the aisle. Dawn, welcome, my friend. When we look over into the bed of your character, what do we see?
You see a young but adult half-orc, taller than even most half-orcs, but skinny, lithe muscles, pale gray skin, and he has two short tusks. One of those tusks seems to have been violently broken off at some point in his life. He's got a couple of scars on his face. He's draped in a gray tunic that's dirty, weathered, and wrapped in a fur cloak. The cape basically drapes over his shoulders. And is he awake currently?
You're just coming to. Just stirring.
So if there was a fly on the wall, the fly might notice or might be privy to incoherent mumblings until the half-orc's eyes open up. These soulful, icy blue eyes. And he, with a start, he sits straight up in the air and he feels like a pain through his abdomen up to his chest as he kind of startles upward. And he just kind of jerks his head around, looking from side to side. There's sweat coming down the side of his face. He looks very confused.
Roll me a perception check. With a 19, you see the exchange that's going on across from this room of white. You see a woman draped in a white wrap, tending to another woman wearing all black, lying in bed. You watch as the woman who is lying down, you watch her eyes close. And as you're still panting, perhaps, from the gasp that brought you to a seated position, the woman wearing the wrap turns and looks at you. Katie, the sister, sees the half-orc sit up in the middle of the bed. And Don, I'd like you to roll me a Constitution saving throw.
Okay.
You feel a wave of fatigue rush through you, but whatever it is, adrenaline or focus or simple experience, you're able to push it back wherever it came from. It does not trouble you at this moment.
But if he's able to push it down, he would push himself up. He would go from a seated position to swing his legs over the side of the bed. He would start to heft up.
Chandra's already running over to you, sort of with her hands out. No. You are injured. You need to rest. You're in a safe place. Don't worry.
He pulls away from your hand, very similarly maybe to how Roberts pulled away from your hand before. Just a jerk back, and he starts to croak out the words. He puts his hand up to his neck, and he looks confused, and he's looking around, and then he looks at you, and his eyes lock on you. There's the expectation of an answer in them.
She turns and goes to a basin and very quickly pours a glass of water and comes back over to you, all very hurried, and holds it out to you. It's water. Drink something.
He takes the water and begins to smell it. Can I make a perception check, because I don't trust this woman's water. It's not me, Katie. It's
so funny.
Yes, you may absolutely test it. How would you like to test it? Are you going to perceive poison? Or are you going to take a bit? Or what's your methodology for, and I'll tell you what to roll.
Okay. So I am proficient with poisoner's kits.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps me here, but I think he's going for sensory, right? He's smelling it, trying to see if he can get anything off of it. If he tastes it, he's going to first put one finger in and just kind of to his tongue.
Sure, yeah. So roll me a perception check, and I will give you advantage on this because if you are looking specifically for ingestible poisons that could disappear in water, I'll give you advantage.
Okay. A 20.
It appears to be water.
When you do this, a little bit of a smirk comes onto her face. She says, if I wanted to hurt you, I could have done it while you were unconscious. I wouldn't have waited until now.
Mm-hmm. He grunts, and then he takes the first sip of water, and it's after the first sip that he realizes how thirsty he is, and he drinks all of the water in the second gulp.
Can you speak?
Yes.
Well, it's refreshing to hear your voice, no matter how laced with mistrust it is. Are you all right? How do you feel?
Don't know. Who are you?
My name is Sister Chandra. I'm employed here to take care of unfortunate folks like you.
How did I get here?
You were found, brought here like others are every day.
It doesn't make any sense.
Do you remember anything?
You would see his eyebrows really tighten. How much of his memories, how are our memories doing, Greg?
Let's find out. Roll me a Constitution saving throw.
Cool.
So with a 19, again, you feel this incredible wave of fatigue. It's stronger this time. It desperately wants to claw you back into the soft embrace of the bed, but again, you're able to shrug it off, albeit it's more difficult. And when you think, you get flashes. You see yourself lying on a stone floor, swirling mists around you, something broken in your hands. Just flashes.
Where are we? The place, the time. Where are we?
You're in a place called the Bend. Is that familiar to you at all?
It's not, right?
Roll me a history check.
His specialty.
Look at that. You're about ready to shake your head, as a natural 20 is the only way you would have heard about this place. And you vaguely remember someone once saying that there is a town that lies off the road, deliberately so, against the sea, and it had a strange name, an angle, in common, the Bend. In Orc, it translates rougher. But you remember that it's by the sea.
Is there a window in this room?
A very large one. It is blowing in, and you can hear from your position on the bed the sounds of nature and the distant crashing of the waves.
I think he would stand up, looking a little less skeptically at this woman who's been caring for him, but still very confused, and he would make his way, or try to make his way, to the window to look out to see what he can see.
I think if he allowed her to, she'd assist him. She wouldn't be pushy or anything, just sort of offer an arm once she realized what you were doing.
He would start to resist at first, but he is struggling, and so he would take her help after a moment of pride.
And as you're walking, you realize that you are really using the sister as support. The strength that you had is fleeting. And as you walk, each step along the white room of this house becomes a field of yellow wildflowers. You're not frightened, but a child is in front of you. She is running, not in terror, but in play. And she looks over her shoulder, looks right at you. And she's smiling. She's doing something else, something you've never heard before. Sister is gone. You are in the past.
He reaches for his weapon.
It's there.
It's a crude blade. He approaches the child cautiously. His lips curl back into a half sneer. He's watching it curiously, but he's stalking the child too. He doesn't want her to get away.
And she looks and cocks her head a bit and reaches for your hand as she does something with her voice.
He takes in that sound that she makes. And for a second, he looks down to her hand, and then he looks past her. Is there anything beyond this sea of wildflowers? Is there anything else around us?
There is a village in the distance. Sister, you see the orc looking around and staring at things and grabbing at things that aren't there. At least not to you.
Oh, sorry.
What do you see?
Can he hear her?
He can hear her, but he cannot see her.
He doesn't answer right away. He is listening to the sound of the wind as it whispers to the field of yellow flowers, and he's listening to the sound of the flowers as they whisper back to the wind. He's listening to the sound that little girl is making with her voice. The sound of the town in the distance, whatever sounds it gives. And the nurse might see just a couple of tears welling up in his eyes. He chokes them back, but they're there for a moment.
As the tears touch your cheeks, a gust of wind takes and lifts the girl's hair from her shoulders. She still reaches with her smile, and the petals of the wildflowers that are ready let go and begin to swirl around you. And you are inside a moment.
He lowers down to both of his knees. He thrusts his crude blade in the ground, at least in his mind. And he looks at the girl, and as she's holding out her hand still, he would reach out very slowly beneath it with both of his hands to cup her hand in his.
What does it sound like, wherever you may be?
You would see that. You'd see the half-orc smile, and just with a wisp of breath, he'd answer, music.
And as the girl stares at you and you hold her hand, she takes it from backhand down to palm down, and you feel the small hand touch yours. And as this moment happens in the swirl of wildflowers, I would like Roberts to roll a perception check. You've been there the whole time. You don't know how. You don't know what this place is, or... But you're there. And Roberts, as you look around and try to get your bearings, several things pop up. You see in the distance a village, but closer, past the half-orc and the girl, towards a road beside this field of wildflowers. It's a post, a guidepost. It says Bloomsbury, and it points towards the village.
She sees the two figures with her in the field, but she doesn't know them. And she watches for a moment before she turns away and starts heading towards the sign, towards the town, trying to find something that looks or sounds familiar.
Sister, you notice that in the bed, the woman has stirred again, and her eyes loll in her skull a bit. The lids flicker. Dawn, make a Constitution saving throw. You see the half-orc begin to slump in your arms. He's losing his fight.
She very carefully, as much as he'll allow, even in this sort of exhausted state, gently wraps her arms around him to guide him back to his bed, and stares at him for a long moment before she just says, "Remembering is... it can be quite hard on us. It takes something of a sacrifice in order to remember the things that we might want to forget." And as she gets him settled in his bed, she moves over back toward Roberts.
And as he falls asleep and you move back over, you see her begin to move. And Roberts, you feel the air shift where you are. The field of wildflowers begins to blur. It begins to creep back. And you hear the sea as it gets louder. You feel the rocking. Perhaps it's a comfort. You feel it. And then you blink your eyes. You are there. You're in a dark room. It stinks. The smell of the sea is there, but it's not strong enough. It's weak. The smell of stale bodies permeates, and the little light that you have is inadequate to push back the shadows. You know this place. You spent a long time in this place.
She doesn't want to move. She's afraid to move. But she's hungry, and it's getting unbearable. She starts to kind of stretch from where she's been crouched down for a long time. And we'll start to try and look around a little bit for anything that maybe she can eat, though she knows probably not. And she's not making sound, as little sound as possible.
Roll me a stealth check and a perception check. You sound quiet to yourself, but sound is different here with the constant drum of the ocean just seemingly on the other side of this wooden wall. And as you look around, you can't see anything. It's too dark. The light is more of a hindrance. It's just enough to fool you with shadow. You can search around with your hands if you'd like.
Yeah, she will.
You hear Chandra's voice that just asks simply, "You said you were on the sea, Roberts? What do you remember about that?"
And I hear the voice.
You do not see the sister, but you hear the voice, yes.
I'm here now.
You're on the sea.
She just nods a little bit.
Tell me about it. Perhaps you'll remember more.
It's dark in here. I can't really make anything out.
Maybe you should find some light then, Roberts.
No, I don't think I can leave.
Have you tried?
No, I haven't tried yet.
Maybe your first step is to try.
She's like frozen. She knows that she could look for a way out, but she is rooted to the spot. And I think you just see her shake her head just a little bit. She can't.
Is she afraid?
Mm-hmm.
Is she trying to hide it?
No.
Sister, you would see that she is at least displaying signs of fear or terror.
Roberts, you'll never learn anything unless you take a step forward. You'll never find the light. I'd like to help her, Greg.
Okay.
I would like somehow for this room to illuminate for Roberts in her vision.
Well, I know one way that can happen.
You see in front of you the sister that you had seen in the in the convent, what have you. The wrap is off of her. It seems to be flowing in a very magical way as she glows with a godly glow around her. Almost stars emanating off of her, and it lights up this room, and she's there with you.
You can
What
see
do
it
I
all.
see?
You can see the bucket of the slop that they feed you. You can see the bucket that they put in the corner for you to relieve yourself in. They look like the same bucket. It's disgusting. There's remnants of torn fabric, half-gnawed rats, some of them out of reach between bars and slats that lead over into another cubby or closet. And as you are both in this place, one in the past, one observing, there is a creak outside of the door. And Roberts, you know this creak as you hear the door begin to pitch in its frame as whatever barring mechanism on the other side is being freed.
She just kind of looks over at the sister, like obviously in a combination of shock and fear, and she's just backing up
The door.
into a corner.
Are you picking the food bucket corner or the shit bucket corner?
Probably the food bucket corner, but they're both awful.
Right. You're pretty sure you got the food bucket corner.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Here's to hoping. As you push yourself back into the corner, the door swings lazily open. And the light that was illuminated by the sister recedes as a shadow drops into the room from the figure and the silhouette in the doorway. You can see the silhouette regarding you, the tricorn hat noticeable in the silhouette. Even after all this time, you still look like her.
Can you take me home? Please.
You are home. Don, roll me a perception check. Somehow, you're in this room. You're in the other corner, but you're in this room. The woman doesn't see you. The sister, you can't see. But you can see the silhouette. You can see the way it looks at the woman. And you realize somehow that you're on this boat, and somehow, though you're inside, the name of this boat is the... Is it the Desiree Adrift? It's the Desiree Adrift.
He only grapples for a moment with the question that immediately springs to mind. How did I know that name? How do I remember that name? I guess he would rise slowly from the corner. This figure that's coming through the door, is it... I mean, is it menacing? Does it look like he's about to hurt this woman?
Make a perception check. At disadvantage because you're going off of a silhouette and not being able to read features here.
Right. And how is she dressed currently? How's Roberts dressed?
No perception check needed. She looks like a prisoner. Slave, mistreated, thin.
And I don't need to make this perception check. If she looks like a slave, then all of the confusion that Yugnan's been experiencing these past few minutes, the startlement of waking up unexpectedly, then being here unexpectedly, he doesn't know how to parse this information. The only thing he knows is that there's a slave and there's a slaver, and he would reach for his blade, and with a choked gargle in the back of his throat, he would launch himself across the room at this dark shape.
With your surprise attack, roll me an attack, my friend.
Do I have advantage?
Yeah, I'll give you an advantage.
Okay, I'll take it. It's very kind of you. Let's do this. A 12.
As you swing the sword down, this figure moves and catches the blade in the crook of his elbow, which should absolutely sever it at the joint. But he holds it there and doesn't seem to see you. But as this man leans forward, he emerges from the shadows. And I'd like you to make a wisdom saving throw, the DC of 15.
Okay. So he brings down this sword, and the blade that he has, it doesn't look like a sword. It looks something like a large, sharp bone weapon with a handle.
You look up. You just got an advantage in if you want to use it.
Yes, I do.
Go right ahead. Thank you very much, Hawk. Natural 20, which is the only way you could see the following. As this man leans forward, he comes out of the shadows. He is nose to nose with you, holding your blade like he would a baby. But as he moves closer, his eyes open, and instead of causing fear or paralysis at your view of them, you instead are able to look and remember as his entire ocular cavities are filled with what look like galaxies. You see planets and stars, comets swirling back and forth as he looks at you, expecting something he does not get. I'd like both of you to roll Constitution saving throws for me, Roberts and Yuknon, please. Both of you are able to stay awake and avoid the level of exhaustion that I was about ready to give you. But you find yourselves back in the bed of your placement by the sister. And as you look around here inside the house of amelioration, you hear the whispers of the ocean and the sea. No sounds of ships or girls singing. No sights of spinning yellow flowers or men with the eyes of galaxies. And it is then that the two of you drift away into a natural sleep. Few hours pass. Summer, you wake up, again, your eyes flickering open, and you see that the sister is there nursing you. Sister, how are you nursing her?
I have a wet cloth in my hand, sort of dabbing on your forehead, whether against the heat or perhaps a fevered dream, that sort of thing. And when I see you waking up, I move toward a tray that's on the bedside table, and sort of point to it. How are you? Are you holding up? I have some food if you're hungry.
Do I remember all of that happened?
You do. It feels like a dream, a very vivid dream. You also remember a half-orc charging at that figure.
She looks over at the sister and shakes her head and sits up. How did you do that?
How did I do what?
I was on a ship and you were with me.
You were having a rather vivid dream earlier. Perhaps you dreamed of me after you saw me.
Maybe it felt real.
You said you didn't remember much. Maybe your memories are coming back? That's a good thing. She's like at this, taking the tray, blowing on soup, getting ready to sort of help you eat if you need it.
This just doesn't make any sense. I should know where I came from.
Well, let's get some food on your belly. I can't.
No, I don't want to eat. I'm fine.
Are you sure? Might help.
Sure.
You.
No, I'm sure.
Well, if you're sure, then perhaps you can try thinking back. Can you remember anything else?
I can see the half-orc in this room, can't I?
You can sure roll me a perception check.
Sure. I would love to. Great.
There are several beds in this room. A couple of them seem occupied. You don't see a bed that appears to hold a half-orc. You don't know, though.
Yeah. How do you remember something that you can't remember?
I tend to find that trying to focus on how I'm feeling can bring back some memories. How do you feel right now? Besides the obvious. Do you miss anything?
I feel confused and a little bit angry.
Angry about what?
About not being able to remember.
Perhaps if you...
Could I go?
You're not really in the shape to leave.
I think I'm fine. I just need to get some air.
You were falling asleep while you were talking earlier. I'm not sure if I feel comfortable enough letting you out. I would like to know that you're in good hands.
Well, if I have fallen conscious, I can't go that far.
She takes the tray and sets it back on the bedside table. How about this? I would feel a lot more comfortable if you at least had a little bit of nourishment in you. Just eat some of this bread.
She looks irritated, but reaches over and grabs some of the bread and takes a big bite of it. Chews it very pointedly.
It seems fresh.
It's warm and buttery.
Can I go?
No one's stopping you from leaving, Roberts.
Great.
Perhaps you shouldn't go out on the streets without knowing where you are or where you came from.
I'll be fine, and that's not your concern. And she'll get up, head towards the door.
As soon as your feet touch the boards, step, step. You feel weary, you feel tired, but not to the point of being unconscious or having to take a rest, but the boards beneath your feet turn to cobblestone. And the sister's words, before you go to the city, you should know where you're going. Is there anything that you miss? And that's when the first burst of a firework hits in front of you. You look across the sky. Fireworks explode, filling the void with colors uncounted. Everywhere. Oohs and ahs from people in the streets as they look up, the reflection of the glows in the heavens cast upon cheeks and eyes and foreheads on the ground. You're there. The city is holding some festival or celebration. Everyone seems to be moving towards the center, the square. You remember this place. You remember the sister's words. What do you do, Roberts?
She hesitates, looking up at the sky, and then turns and sees that the crowd is moving around her, and she decides to go with them to see what it is that they're all gathering for, what they're celebrating. But there's a sinking feeling in the pit of her stomach.
And you can see that the townsfolk, families of every economic strata, from the poor to the merchant class to the upper class, seem to be walking side by side, dressed in as fine a clothing as they have. And there is a general excitement, a general appreciation for the skies, the night, the festival. There is a sense of community and love that is rarely felt in a city in the realms.
It's refreshing to be around so many people, and I think that their happiness and their community and just all the smiling faces is contagious. And she can't help but quicken her step and walk, kind of moving past people now, pushing towards the front, growing more excited. And even though there's that feeling in the pit of her stomach, she needs something. She needs something happy.
And again, the saturation is impossible to deny. There are claps on your shoulder, children pulling your hands, whispers and giggles and oohs and ahs as another bevy of fireworks burst and illuminate the night, and then you're there. The center of the town is lit with magic and candle, lantern and torch. It glows, almost as majestic on ground as the fireworks in the sky. There is music and food and drink People dancing everywhere, dancing. Laughter. Hope. And above it all, almost divinely so, two figures stand on a raised dais. They too are dancing. What do you do, Roberts?
She looks up and she is kind of subconsciously moving closer, and that feeling is coming back. And I think her ears are kind of clogging up with her heartbeat. It's like all she can hear is her heart beating, and the sounds of the festival and the fireworks kind of fade into the background. She gets as close as she can, even though they're up so high and she's so low.
Over that sort of that distant sound, you hear Chandra's voice. Many people find themselves in the bend because they're either running away or towards something. Which one is it for you, Roberts?
What is there to run away from?
A past you can't remember, perhaps?
No, I have nothing left. There's nothing to leave behind.
What is it that you lost?
Not what? Who?
Who did you lose, Roberts?
She just stares up. And can she recognize him?
Roll me a perception check with advantage. As you look up, the distant lights of the fireworks that you are not noticing or hearing illuminate the side of your face. The candles and magic of the ground reflecting your eyes. The dancers twirl, grazing you but not bumping into you. And as you sit in the sea of happiness, a sea so unlike the one that you travel, you look up and there he is, twirling with his wife.
Tears just start rolling down her face. He didn't wait. He didn't wait for me.
Don, roll me a perception check. You see it too. Yuknon sees the fireworks, the dancing, and the music. The music. Whether he chooses to focus on that or the woman in front of him, the woman that he recognizes as the slave that he saw in that terrible place. You would see her in the middle of all of this. The shoulders slump. She is that slave again. That prison never escaped. And you see her tears. What do you do, my friend?
He would step forward slowly, and without knowing it, each of his footfalls would match the rhythm of the music that he's hearing. And he'd stand next to her not looking directly at her, but looking down over his shoulder just slightly. And he would look up. Is she still looking upward towards the dais?
Mm-hmm. She is.
He would look up to the two figures at the top and whisper, "A memory."
A terrible one.
He turns and looks down at you, and there's a sort of gentleness that pulls down his usual taut, fierce features. And he says, "Memories do not belong to us. They move through our minds and through our hearts. They stay with us, but they are not ours. All we have is now. And this, whatever this is not now."
She finally pulls her eyes away from the dancing couple and turns to look at him. Who are you?
I'm Yuknon. And who are you?
Roberts.
Well, Roberts, I don't know if you're real, or if any of this is real. But you seem sad.
She glances back up. I don't know what happens now.
Close your eyes, if you would.
She does, after a moment.
What do you hear?
The music. And the people. The fireworks.
And what does that make you want to do?
Part of me wants to run away. I don't know if I can.
Where would you go?
Back to the sea.
And do you prefer the music of the sea, Roberts?
I've come to. It took a while. But it comforts me now. In a way that I didn't used to think it could.
Well, if this is your memory, then why don't you play a happier song?
Do you wish to try?
Yeah.
Roll me a charisma saving throw.
Okay.
Don, you roll me a charisma saving throw too.
Oh, goodness.
It's your speciality.
Got it. The charisma on these kids.
When it comes to changing the music of the moment, it's a good thought, but the beat plays on. You can hear the sea a bit, if only in your imagination.
She opens her eyes and turns away from the dais. I suppose I leave now.
If you wish. I don't know where that leaves me. I'm just visiting, I suppose.
You could come with me if you liked.
I would like that.
Katie. The sister is standing in the middle of the house between the two beds of Roberts and Yuknon. They appear to be asleep, but you can hear them speak, and you hear this entire conversation coming from their dreaming lips.
Kendra looks between the both of them, has a little bit of a smile on her face. And I think she pulls up a chair between the two beds and she begins to hum. Just a light little bit of music.
Let's have Roberts roll me a Constitution saving throw, please. That's pretty good. Again, Roberts, you feel yourself falling into that normal sleep. It's not so heavy. It's light, but restful. Yuknon, as the scene begins to get a little bit blurry, a little hazy, a little indistinct, you have one more glance up, and using your earlier perception roll when you arrived here, you somehow know that the boy on the dais, the man, his name is Bo. You know this because you hear this beautiful woman say something, whisper and call him this. But it is her that you recognize, but you do not know from where, and you do not know how. Katie, you hear the conversation stop between the two. Yuknon, you feel the presence of this place take you. You feel it whip you around for a moment. Roberts is gone, the fireworks are gone, and for a moment, a brief moment, you feel that swirl of yellow flowers, that protective whirlwind. You see that little girl's face, you see the smile and the acceptance, but it is gone. And instead you see something else. You see pain. You are lying on a wooden floor. Darkness creeping just a foot above. You see a shadowy figure creeping away from you. You see this nightmarish situation as you are unable to move. You reach for the shadowy figure, but it is gone. It casts a glance back for just a moment, and it leaves you. You feel a burning through your body, pain. Every ounce of your being, every stretch of muscle, every bit of tissue seems to be either sandpaper or fire. The whole world is exquisite. You see over this low-lying fog of shadow and night, you see across this wooden floor as your eyes rest the side of your head burning and scraping against this. You see your pack, and you see the neck of a bottle sticking out. You know this can help you, but it is very far away. What do you do, Yuknon?
He grunts and breathes hard, and with each grunt, he's trying to will his body to pull himself closer to that bottle, the closest thing to a weapon nearby. And he's looking on at this band as it's approaching. Are there other people around too?
No, this is the room that you are in against these boards. It's vacant, but that shadowy figure left and the door from which they disappeared is open. You can barely make out other shadowy figures that seem to be watching, but they are not coming to your aid. They are merely shapes against a darker mass. They make no moves towards you, but they make no moves to assist. You know that that bottle could stop the burning, but it is far away, and there is no help in this dark place. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw for me.
He grips his hands around a necklace very tightly and continues to grunt. Tries to pull himself closer and closer to that bottle.
And you do, with each swing of elbow and push of foot. You scrape yourself across the boards. It's 100, 1,000 times more painful as your body fights against you. It just wants to stop. It threatens seizure along your legs, taking the quads and making them feel as if they are made of wood, making you pull yourself with nothing but your upper body as you find the ridges between the boards and use your nails to pull yourself closer until at last you can feel the neck of the bottle as you have reached your goal. What do you do?
He grips the bottle in his hands. Is it transparent?
It seems to be filled with some reddish purple fluid. The bottle itself is clear.
He blinks and closes his eyes and whispers, "My queen." And then he puts the bottle to his lips and he drinks.
With each gulp, even though some is loosed along your chin because your mouth is even fighting to take it in, it gets down your throat, and the heat and the scratch and the irritation begins to recede. It begins to fall away. There is a warmth. It is hot. It is painful in its own right, but more bearable than what was there before. Your body is covered in sweat. Sister, you see this. You see this, the physical reactions. You can see the bending and the curling of the body, the mimicked shallow movements of the half-orc as he crawls, the the sweat that just explodes from his brow, his chest and neck. He is reliving something.
She goes over to him and, sort of similar to what she was doing with Robert, she takes a cool washcloth to sort of ease the fever that he seems to be suffering with. Still humming lightly. And you hear Yukon, "You've always been a fighter, haven't you? I feel that from you. What are you fighting right now? What's worth fighting for?"
Does he recognize the sister's voice as being the sister's voice?
Roll me an insight check. You're not sure whose voice it is, but if it's comforting, doesn't matter.
He feels the heat on his skin cool a little bit. Some of the pain subside, and he slumps down on that hard wooden floor, just kind of stares at those shadows who are watching him as he's listening to the voice. And he answers. It's coming. It has to be stopped. It has to be stopped.
What do you fear in the future? No matter what you do, it will come. What
No.
you do?
No. No. No, it can't come. It has to be stopped.
What will you do to stop it? Will you do whatever it takes?
He's confused for a moment, and he closes his eyes and opens it again. He's staring directly down at the floor. There's drool coming out of his mouth. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
The good and the bad, you'll take whatever it might bring. Sometimes more bad than good.
Whatever it takes.
You hear her humming pick up again. And she's still tending to you.
Roll me a Constitution saving throw, Yuknon. This time you feel the sleep take you. It's aided by the sister as she tends to you, as she looks to make you feel more comfortable. And it is back in the house of amelioration, where you feel your head lowered to the pillow. And for a moment, the three of you are awake here in the clinic in the late afternoon. And I would like Yuknon and Roberts to roll me perception checks as they look around the room as they begin to nod off. Yuknon, both you and Roberts see two other figures in nearby beds. One of them is a red-bearded humanoid. He seems to be at rest in much the same way that you are. Dressed not for bed, but for a quest. For the road. Or something less fantastic. In the other bed, there is another humanoid, and she is wearing a crown. Tiara? You ponder the reasonings and the definitions of whatever it is that she is wearing as you both drift off to sleep. But before you do, Roberts, you notice a third bed. It is empty. No one is there, but it looks like it is slept in and remade, but not with the care of the sister or one of her order. It's well, but not great. And just as your eyes begin to close, you hear floating with the whispers of insects and birds and the whip of the wind, you hear a voice, a speech, a sermon, and you fall asleep. Both of you wake up and begin to stir, and outside, night has taken hold of the window. No longer is it the same pleasant sounds of day. These are equally as cheerful and equally as soothing. They just contain croaks of frogs and other less polite creatures. Sister's nowhere to be seen. What did the two of you do?
Roberts, for what feels like the 100th time that day, gets up or sits up and kind of looks around, stretching a little bit. How is she feeling compared to all the other times she awoke today?
You're still terribly tired, as if you haven't slept at all. It's you've been awake for days. It feels like that. It's just, you think that if you lost your focus for just a moment, your body would just inadvertently take to the bed again. But you're awake for now.
She just kind of looks around and calls out, "Hello?"
Roberts. Huguenot rolls over just a little bit and pushes himself up, halfway up on the side of his bed.
I know you.
I know you. Do you know where we are?
The woman, Sister Chandra. I think she said her name was. She said that we were in a place called the Bend.
That's right. Do you remember how you got here?
No, she said I was found outside of town, I guess. I don't know how I got there or really the last... I don't know how long is blurry.
It's the same for me. She said the same, but it doesn't make sense.
Are the people in the other beds still here?
You seem by yourself right now.
I thought I saw others here. It's hard to tell what's real and what's a dream.
You don't remember ever being here before, do you?
No, never.
I think this is real. And I think that we're being held here against our will.
Every time I've tried to leave, I've just fallen back asleep. I can't get more than a few steps.
Must be sapping our energy. If they were truly healers, they would do more healing and less digging around.
Where is she? And she will like try and get up again to see if she can't find somebody else.
Sure. As soon as you push yourself up, you again feel that substance of the floor leave you. It breaks free. It's not where it needs to be. It sends you to another place. Only this time, you're not standing on anything. You're swimming as the distant lights of a boat, your boat, disappears into the distance.
She fights against the current. It's strong and it's knocking her around. But she's going to fight to swim as best she can.
Roll me a Constitution saving throw, please. You begin to feel yourself being pulled under. You fight back up, but the water is relentless. It is everywhere. It is eternal. You see your boat getting further away. But the sister's voice is there, though you cannot see her.
Swim, Roberts. Fight it.
She tries to swim and stay at the surface, but water's coming into her mouth with each gasp that she's taking, and she's choking back up salt water. It's burning her throat and her lungs.
Don't let it pull you under. You're much stronger than this.
I think like, she nearly laughs. Nothing's stronger than the sea. And she has a bit of resolve, though, because there was another time that the sea could have drowned her and didn't. So she keeps fighting, and she keeps swimming towards the boat, but it's getting further and further away, but she's trying.
Roll me a Constitution saving throw. You stay up. You're able to stay on the surface longer than you are beneath it. The waves try. They crash and pull. And in one of the waves, you see a hand. It breaks free for a second, grasping at the open air. You see a face come up. It is the face of Bo. Beneath the surface, it is pulled. Again, he fights wearing the same suit you saw him wear in the square. He is pulled under. He does not see you. He is too busy fighting for his life.
The moment she sees him, she forgets about the boat. She's headed straight for him.
You see him get pulled under. You can see the white of his suit just beneath the surface, swirling as he keeps fighting and losing.
She breaks above the waves for just a moment, and she just yells out, "Help me!" to whatever
Robert,
voice was there.
You have all the help that you need. It's inside of you. Your beliefs, your dreams, your future is stronger than the sea. You are stronger than the sea.
He's drowning.
What would you do to save him?
She doesn't answer. She just dives beneath the surface. Rather than fighting against the waves on the top, she works with the sea to see if she can't spot him through the dark water to get to him somehow.
You can. You can see the white as you kick down as a dolphin would beneath the waves where it's calmer, where the current is less gripped with the fury of the topside of the wind, the different world. But it is still pulling, Bo. You can't make out his features, but you can see the white as you reach for it. Dawn. You are in a world filled with swirling smoke. You are lying on the ground. You feel your life pooling from you. A shattered item in your hand. Your world is those things.
He's trying to keep his breathing steady, and he slowly looks down towards his hand. What does he see in it?
Looks to be some type of ornate sculpture? Vase. There's another word, but that's for Yuknon to say. What it once was and what it represented is destroyed at great cost. But it's destroyed.
He grips as he's starting to lose his breath. One of those shards so tightly that it cuts open his hand, and he can see the blood spilling and pulling out of it through the smoke, just the dark shape of it on the ground. And he says, "He was supposed to be my friend. He was supposed to be my..." He closes his eyes. And And he hopes that when he opens them again, it's a different world. Something else that he's seeing.
Your world is a memory. And as you close your eyes and feel the bite in your palm, you see a swirl of yellow flowers. And you see a little girl, smile on her face. She reaches towards you, her small hand grasping.
He reaches out to the little girl, his hand palm up to take her smaller hand from underneath. And as she's smiling at him, he can't help but strain and smile back. And he's just listening.
And as Roberts reaches bow, and as Yuknon reaches for the child, Yuknon and Roberts rush together as the two of them are holding one another's hands in this maelstrom of water and fog. You can see one another.
Are we beneath the water?
Sort of. You can see water. You can see smoke. They shouldn't exist in the same place, but they do here. You think if you spoke, could be heard. But the two of you are hand in hand, spinning like skydivers.
A memory?
And he's still got a hint of that smile on his face before it's faded a little bit. I don't want to live in memories. I want to live. Don't you?
I do.
Do you hear the howl of the wind, the crash of the waves?
It isn't real.
No.
Can you wake up?
I don't know.
Each of you make Constitution saving throws at advantage since you are together. Roberts, you feel the spin, and you see Yuknon watching you, and then his eyes drift down. You feel a weight. Do you hold on to him?
She does. She starts to pull him closer.
And as you pull him closer, you feel a rush, and you know no more. Sister, you can see the pair washed up on the beach. It is several days before you will talk to them, but you see them still hand in hand, grasping at one another, two life preservers. You see a group of farmers heading off towards the wheat fields. They do not see the bodies, and they are walking and talking and discussing matters of life here at the Bend. What do you do, sister?
Stands there for a moment in thought, almost with her her hands steepled in front of her. And she nods. They'll live. I think they'll do. She takes a deep breath and she begins to hurry toward the farmers, asking them for help. So it seems some sailors have washed up on shore. She needs help to get them to her sister so she can help nurse them back to health.
They immediately heave to, dropping their rakes and hoes, rushing down to the beach, yelling for additional help, yelling for a wagon to be brought to the edge of the sand. You see the pair lifted by the group of men, taking them from the water. But never does Roberts let go. Her hand stays locked on Yuknon, and so the farmers carry them together. Yuknon and Roberts, you wake up for the last time in the white room with the wind blowing, with the quiet. Sister is not here. You see no evidence of anyone else that will be helping, but you do see a bearded man sitting up and looking at you, and you see the woman wearing the crown sitting up and looking at you. And as you all stare at one another, there is a smash against the window as the wind catches a branch and taps the pane, and all four of your heads turn and look. And you see the window and the world beyond it. And what you must do lies out there.
Call somebody to take you home. Look over your shoulder when you go that way. This world might take you to a bad, bad place. Remember you told me things your mama said. She never gave you enough affection. Let you run around. She didn't know you're bound to feel alone and such neglection. You may feel the need to fix the past in me and show.
Hello, everybody, and here we are at the end of the first prelude of The Realms Remembered. I would like to thank all of my fantastic cast. Let's go around and meet them. Let's start with our guests. Katie, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. This doesn't affect me at all, so I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. That was really a great time. I'm Katie. You can find me all over the internet at KatieFace. Yeah, I tweet about what I'm doing. I'm gonna save that for another time. But thank you for having me, Greg. It was great.
Oh, thank you for having me. And my friend kept a fantastic secret. We have been talking for a very long time, getting this all set up. She has been an incredible sport too. I send doc after doc at her, and just an absolute joy. And she, there's things that you'll remember in life. And when a best friend doesn't tell another best friend that they're going to surprise them to keep your secret, you don't forget stuff like
Greg,
that.
she's never gonna let me come to her house again. She's gonna kill me. She's done with me.
Katie who? I don't know her.
And let's go over to Summer. Summer, how are you doing, my friend? Katie, thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, my heart. I feel a lot of things. This was such a pleasure. We've been waiting for this for a really, really long time. And it could not have been better. Like, exceeded every expectation I ever had. I can't wait to go back and watch the VOD so I can get all the music and all the good stuff. Because from what I could see on mute, it looked incredible. So I just, oh my God. And next week, holy shit, I have so many things. Okay. I am Summer. You can find me on the internet at Just a Summer Job, on Twitter specifically. I tweet about everything I've got going on there. This is so much fun. I fucking can't wait for more.
Awesome. And everybody, links are in chat for both Katie and for Summer and for Off the Table. Please make sure you follow, because kind beats everything in this world, and Summer and Katie are kind, which is my favorite thing. Speaking of being kind, and one of my favorite things, Dawn, how are you doing, buddy? How was your first walk through the realms?
I loved it. I had such a good time. And like Summer said, I'm looking forward to going back and watching the VOD and getting to see some of the magic that I heard was happening. But I didn't get a chance to see it all while we were playing. It was great. Yeah, I didn't know what was going to happen. I'm a big fan of surprises, and Katie popping in, I should have seen it. I knew it. There's a
bold-faced lie we were fed.
There's a fourth camera, and Greg fed me some shit about.
You ate it up. Nom.
I was like, I'm being smart. I was like, oh my God, that's so fucking smart. I should do things like that. Yeah, I should hide secrets from my friends. I should hide people and
I was cackling behind the scenes like, smooth, Greg. Good job.
But I loved getting to play with Katie again. That was a surprise and a joy because Katie's incredible and I love playing with her. It was great to play with Summer again. We haven't gotten to play for a little while in a game together, and I had such a good time with these characters. All three of the characters, the world, the mystery is gonna gnaw at me like it does. And Greg, just a fantastic job bringing all of this to life. I couldn't be happier. I had so much fun. I'm looking forward to seeing our friends next week, what they get themselves up to, what their characters are going to be like. We've been keeping a lot of secrets from each other for a long time. So slowly, some of those secrets are going to start squeezing out. And that's the most fun for me. Anyways, you can find me online at Donathan Fry. I DM May Black Roses Bloom Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on this channel. And I just released my first ever DMs Guild adventure with Kiana Shaw, who's in chat and is incredible. It's a solo adventure, so you can play alone, you can play with friends. It's optionally a prequel for the upcoming book, Descent into Avernus. And it's a lot of fun. So we had a really good time putting it together. And if you would like to check that out, that's my pin tweet. So check out my Twitters and you will see it. And that's all for me.
Yes, absolutely, everybody. If you check out Don's links that I put up, Don's there, his Patreon is there, and the last one, new DMs Guild Adventure. That's it. Go there and pick it up right now. And for all the reasons. And so you will be able to descend into Avernus before everybody else. So wouldn't that be fun? But I had a blast. I'm Greg, Grimjack21502 on the Twitter, part of the Tales from the Grim team here on the Twitch. We have a lot of fun coming up just later on tonight, we have Urban Shadows, Bad Moon Rising, GM'd by That Salty Ginger, and Kenna's on there, and I'm on there, and Allison's on there, and Tommy, my bro, is on there, and Matt Bat's on there. We have a lot of fun, and we're going to continue to have a lot of fun at Tommy's expense. But Tommy was also the person that did our video up top. I'll end with that one as well. Another great creation by our resident intro artist. But next week here on the Realms Remembered, we will have both Bill of the Forest, Billy from A Black Rose's Bloom, and the aforementioned Lauren, who will be coming in to show and share their prequels. Will I be able to pull some shit? I'll try, and we'll see exactly how that works whenever we get to their prequels. Their characters were the other ones that sat up in the bed. Now our fifth character, played by Big Pig 50,000, my buddy Steve, he's already involved in the world. So the first time we meet him, it will be as a member of the Realms Remembered. So everybody, let's get ready to, let's see, is there anybody we want to raid? We're going to be right back here in about 50 minutes, so make sure you circle back around to us, and maybe we'll go see Pro. Hey, there's Pro. I see he's going live. Let's go say hi to Pro, and we'll end up with our intro. So until next time, everybody, as the sun goes down, there's only one thing left to say. You can't always roll nat 20s, but you can always role play. We'll see you next time, friends.
This is awkward. You're expecting a bard, or at the very least a storyteller of merit. Instead, you get a thief. If it's any consolation, I am a damned good thief. Or I was. But you see, I've made a mistake. I've stolen something that needs tending. I have stolen something that without my intervention will surely die. I've stolen a story. My name is Vanda, and for the very first time in my life, I mean to tell the truth. The truth of the five. Don't expect flowery language or poignant metaphor. I am not some god's damned bard. But in a realm forgotten, you will remember them. You will remember the five.